So generics for me was one of the coolest things, mostly because I didn't understand it at all at first. And then I learned that it's powerful, like really, really powerful. But I think it was when you explained why. So I'd love to hear more about like why we work with generics at all.
Right. Well, they weren't introduced into Java. They weren't introduced into Java in the beginning. They came along a little later. And what ended up happening was people just needed a tool that would allow them to kind of set what an object or class was going to do in the future. Just kind of like how interfaces kind of help out with this idea of like avoiding typing in some way. So they were really useful for the Java Collections API. They were amazing because you could just say, look, I just need to do these same things, and it doesn't really matter what the type is. I'm going to use the same operations every time. And yeah, I mean, they're really confusing at first, I think, to beginners because there's not a lot of good explanations for it.
Yeah.
But once you realize that really it's this idea of type erasure happens where it just replaces all those things in the angle brackets with what you would have done if you had just coded it manually, I think it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I like the angle brackets as a symbol to represent, hey, you're in a new territory here. This is not just passing something in. This is passing something in that actually can change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's almost like, hey, I want one of these things, but I want to kind of give you a custom order. Like, give me an array adapter, or sorry, an array list, but it's a custom array list.
Right.
And you're just kind of like writing it on the form, and then at compile time, you get that custom thing.
Right. Right. So we're in this particular example, we're trying to take a cat adapter and create. We could create a dog adapter.
We could create a dog adapter,
but that would then, if we had a bird adapter and et cetera,
it would just be a lot of code and a lot of maintenance.
Yeah. So instead, you're doing something else here. What are you creating?
I'm creating a generic adapter that does the same thing as cat adapter, but allows you to specify the type of object that it's going to work with. Mm-hmm. We use these a lot in Android for stuff like. Well, let's see, async task uses it a lot. Again, the Java Collections API. And sometimes I think it's hard for people to come across a situation where they're like, well, how do I use it? When should I use it? It's one thing to understand it, but when should I actually use it? And it's really when you want to make tools for yourself.
Interesting. Say more about that, making tools for yourself.
Well, if you have an idea of like, okay, I want this particular thing to work with any class that I deal with, that's when you can make yourself a tool and say, I'm going to genericize this so that things in the future that you haven't quite created yet, you can pull out that old code, dust it off, and know it'll run.
So how are you creating this tool right now? Are you just kind of, you know that this is what the tool should have? Are you mimicking what was the cat adapter had? What are you doing? Yeah,
I'm actually just mimicking what the cat adapter had. And as you can see there, T stands for type, in case you didn't know. You don't have to use that, by the way. You can use anything, really. But I don't know. I guess when I look at this stuff, I kind of see data types as just, blarg or mooger. I mean, I don't really actually read them.
What about flarg?
Sometimes flarg.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason why is because I got into a lot of trouble when I was younger, coding things where I would read the name of the data type, and then that would give me some expectation of how it behaves.
Yeah.
And then once I had to debug a lot of stuff where I basically felt like, oh, this library is just a liar. That's not what that does at all. I started seeing data types as just little placeholders for this is a description that it's describing how the type is.
Yeah. That's one of the things that my research uncovered was that novices will often get confused because sometimes they read something and they think the English English words that are being used has meaning.
That was great actual English that you used just now to describe that.
I just stumbled over that beautiful point. But the idea is that experts really do what you're saying, which is when they look at something, they don't interpret the words first. They look at the symbols, they look at the context, and they use that to actually understand what's going on as opposed to trusting what the words say.
Yeah. Okay. So here we are actually saying, okay, I could take any type, but I want to specifically take things that implement the animal interface, which is a little weird, right? Because it says extends animal. But But extends is not the same thing as just extending a class inheritance-wise here.
Right, because we're in those angle bracket, which is funky land. Right?
Yeah.
There's different things are different there.
And here I love this because basically when you start with just a generic, when you start using the actual generic object, you'll only have access to like the Java object methods. And then as you need more functionality, you can just go, oh, okay, well, I need a type that also implements this interface, and just add it up there. And then bam, you'll start to get all those method calls available to you for that generic, T object in this case.
So when you create a generic, it really the ability to extend it later.
So like right here, you can see I'm like, oh, I get the description, and that's fine. And then what's going to happen, let's see if I do it first. Yeah, I'm going to now try to look for a method that I'm not going to have access to because it's going to be from a different interface. So I'm going to say num stars, and then, oh, I guess I was just setting the number of stars. Okay, here we go. Here I'm doing what I was just saying I was going to do, where you set the rating. Now the rating is a part of the adoptable class or adoptable interface. And so there you go. I don't have that. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just make sure that gets included.
And you include it simply by adding to what your generic is implementing, extending.
What my generic has to implement. So my generic, I can say, I will take the type, I will take any type of object as long as it implements animal and adoptable.
Even though the keyword is extends.
Even though the keyword is extends.
Yeah.
I don't know why they did that. I think that's not so good, but nobody asked me. So,
well, as long as people can keep their eye out for it, I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. You also see this a lot of time when working with list views. Whenever you want to extend a base adapter, you'll need to set up, code to specify what kind of data it's working with. And I know it looks like I'm actually writing a lot of code just to still use a dog adapter, but it is way less code than if I had to code up a dog adapter. And then, like you said, someone introduced a bird class, and I'm like, crap. You want to adopt birds? It's gonna be a lot of work.
Yeah. Now, when you pass cat and dog in through those angle brackets on lines 32 and 33, that's you like claiming that T.
Yeah, it actually, there's this thing called type erasure, and it actually goes in and erases every place where those things are and replaces them with
every
the
T
type.
Gets replaced with that specific data type.
At compile time, yeah. So there we go. We got a cat adapter. We got a dog adapter. Or sorry, a cat adopt adapter and a dog adopt adapter.
It's a lot of adopting.
It's a lot of Yeah.
I still love how excited your friends were to submit cat and dog pictures to you for use in this app.
Yeah, I didn't know that if you say, hey, anybody on Facebook, do you have pictures of your cat or dog? And then you don't ever get to sleep again because people,
ping,
everybody
ping.
Apparently wants to share pictures of their cat or dog. I thought that should have been something obvious, but I didn't know that. And it caused a lack of sleep for at least 2 days.
Yeah. Well, someone should really, create an app for that.
I'm sure they probably have, but probably not as good as these guys could probably build one after they're done with this.
Well,
this
there
program.
you go. Yeah. Our cut is 15%, by the way.
Yeah. Well, 16.
16?
Well, we need some negotiation room.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. So here we are setting the adapter, and I was nervous about this when I first did this because I was like, oh, did we introduce typecasting? Because doing this without typecasting, picking a random int is really annoying. So luckily, I checked and we did. And then we're just going to.
Are you typecasting on 67 as well?
I am.
So that extra space between int and the closing parentheses, that's just
poor taste.
Okay.
That's just me being I'm not lazy, but bad at typing. Sometimes I just type so fast my hands become a blur and I don't see it anymore.
And I think that's fine because you have so many years of experience that you can easily kind of go back and fix that if you're actually going to share it with another developer. But wouldn't you encourage our students to make sure that they don't make those kinds of mistakes that they kind of hold true to form?
Yeah. Well, oftentimes what you want to do is you want to have like a last pass. Like after you get everything working or in a stable state for a test, you then want to go through and make sure that you have everything kind of pretty and makes sense and commented. I mean, not wait until the very end. You want to do that throughout.
What's happening here? You keep deleting and resetting that cat adapter.
Well, I'm going to prove, so this is the testing part. I'm going to prove that because the cat adapter worked. I'm proving that the cat adopt adapter does the exact same thing.
Okay.
And then I'm going to try the dog adopt adapter and then see, did I code the right thing? So let's see.
Oh,
those are Russ's cats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Barry and Levon. They love pudding. So here we go. We're going to, now, this isn't going to work.
Ooh, you made a mistake?
I'm pretty sure I made a mistake. We'll see here.
What are you trying to do? And what are you expecting to see? And what do you think we won't see?
I think we're going to see the whole thing not work. But
right now you're trying to show dog adapter worked because cat adapter worked.
Right. Yeah, this is going to be
cat adopted.
So look at that large name text. Blah blah blah. That didn't work.
Crashed.
Yeah. Now the question is, can you guys find out what mistake I did?
So this is you finding the actual line of code and the correct file. Mm-hmm. I love how the debugger gives us that information.
Do you see what I did there?
Didn't catch it. Where are we?
For those of you watching and coding along at home, did you catch it? I can't quite hear you from here.
If you could just speak up. So it's working now.
Not quite. It's not actually.
Description looks.
No, that's the default stuff that's being set up. It's actually not setting the right the right random thing. That's why it's just large name text and descriptor. Blah, 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 blah. So you can see my confusion going back and forth of being like, what did I forget?
What happened to that dog's description?
Mm-hmm. Question is, has anyone else seen it yet?
I'm not getting any tweets.
If you found it out by now, you should be very proud of yourself. If you haven't found it out right by now, that's okay. Apparently, I didn't either.
At some point, maybe we should just have them race you in debugging problems. We'll have like a live coding session. There it is.
I didn't quite finish coding.
So there was a set, but...
Oh, I set the object correctly, but I didn't actually call this whole method that actually changes the view.
Right.
And now I have...
There he is. Weston.
Yeah, he's cute.
Gizmo.
He's also cute. Most likely to break your heart and pee a little while doing it.
It's like every dog in the world.
I think there were 2 gizmos in there. Yeah. Seems to work. And now you have generics as a tool in your toolbox.
It's one of the most powerful tools. I'm so glad that Java comes with it.
Yeah, me too.